Heartwarming secret revealed. Millionaire discovers incredible ACT of kindness by his cleaner. Jake Thompson strode through the glass doors of Thompson Technologies, his tech empire. He was a man defined by success, but as he scrolled through emails filled with urgent deadlines, self-doubt clawed at him. Little did he know that it was Clara, the woman who cleaned his suburban home, who would soon show him what true fortitude looks like. Meet Clara, a single mother from Guatemala, working tirelessly every weekend to care for her two young children while also tutoring local kids. Her relentless spirit was a quiet storm amidst the chaos of Jake's corporate world. On those warm Illinois afternoons, as Jake dismissed mundane neighborhood interactions, Clara was the heartbeat of the community. Unrecognized but unwavering. One clouded afternoon, a financial crisis struck Jake's company like lightning, sending him on a whirlwind panic. He couldn't afford mistakes. The weight crushed him as insomnia clawed him awake during the early hours, leaving him in a paralyzed state of fear and anxiety. In an attempt to regain control, he hired a new assistant, only to discover that neglecting to see the nuances of humanity, charming moments of kindness that swirled around him only widened the gap between success and fulfillment. Returning home one evening, Jake's eyes caught an otherwise unimaginable scene. Clara, a beacon of compassion, was helping their elderly neighbor with heavy grocery bags. He stood frozen, a tightness in his chest, watching her interact with a kindness that transformed the mundane into something beautiful. Then, at the park, he witnessed her surrounded by children, laughing and sharing knowledge, her presence lighting up their small world like a golden sunrise. Each interaction chipped away at the steel walls he'd built around himself. As the tension in Jake's life mounted, misunderstandings emerged. When Clara tried to support him during his struggles, he misread her compassion as pity. Confrontation ensued. Their words sharpened like daggers, creating a rift that pushed Clara further into the arms of the community, even as Jake spiraled deeper into isolation. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the community gathered at a local event, Jake stood a spectator to emotions he had long pushed aside. Clara was celebrated for her unwavering spirit, her dedication illuminating the very values he had overlooked. Her genuine kindness, received with admiration from neighbors, pierced through Jake's heart. For the first time, he felt the weight of his privilege and the inadequacy of his previous notions of success. Realization washed over him like a tidal wave. Clara was not just a cleaner in his grand house. She was a lighthouse in a storm, a reminder that strength lies in compassion. Just as determination sparked in him to mend the bridge between them, an unexpected turn loomed, leaving him standing at the precipice of change. Would Jake seize the moment and reconcile with her, or succumb to the isolation that had begun to define him? The community held its breath, waiting to see if he would rise to meet this transformative revelation before it slipped away into the shadows. Jake stood there, his heart racing as affirmations of Clara's role washed over him like a flood. Amidst the laughter of children and the warmth of community, he felt smaller than he ever had. The applause ringing for Clara wasn't just for her service. It was for a spirit he had long abandoned in his chase for success. He shifted uncomfortably, wondering how a mere cleaner could eclipse the shadows lingering around his castle of achievements. As the crowd cheered, Jake pushed through the throng, each step heavy with purpose. He searched for Clara, desperate for a chance to communicate, to explain. The weight of his mistakes pressed against him, louder than any boardroom meeting he had ever faced. He caught a glimpse of her, standing on the edge of the gathering, smiling softly as children handed her handmade cards. That smile ignited something deep within him. "Clara," he called, unsure of how she would respond. The buzz of the event hushed for a moment, all eyes turning to him. She turned slowly, eyebrows meeting in a curious frown. The moment hung suspended, and he could see doubt flicker in her gaze. "Jake," she said, her tone flat, as if she were preparing for another round of confrontation. Taking a steadying breath, he approached. His heart drummed in his chest, words swirling in his mind like autumn leaves in the wind. I wanted to say I'm sorry, he managed, each word feeling foreign. For how I acted. I didn't TC you didn't TC me, she interrupted gently. The honesty in her voice struck him. No, I didn't he admitted, the weight of his pride crumbling like old stone. But I want to understand. I have to understand. You're so much more than I realized. Clara tilted her head, processing his words. The corners of her mouth twitched as if contemplating a smile, yet caution flickered in her eyes. What do you think you understand? She asked, a challenge lingering in the air. Jake hesitated, feeling exposed. But the truth felt like a bubbling river rising within him. I see how hard you work. I see how dedicated you are to your children and this community. I've let success blind me to what truly matters. He paused, struggling to find the right words, as the murmurs of the crowd faded into the background. It's just I'm tired of feeling isolated. I need a community? Clara finished for him, her voice softening. Jake nodded, almost pleadingly. I need connection. I've spent so long only looking out for myself. I forgot how to listen to care. Clara studied him, her features betraying a mixture of hope and skepticism. You think it's that simple? No, but I want to try. His sincerity hung in the air between them, and Jake held his breath, waiting for her response. He took a step closer, vulnerability dripping from his words. Just when Clara was about to reply, laughter echoed from behind them, breaking the tension. A group of children dashed past, their joy echoing off the walls of the community center. Clara smiled at their merry chaos, a light in her eyes that Jake could hardly bear to witness. Let us talk, she finally said, warmth sneaking back into her voice. But it's not just about you, Jake. It's about action, what you choose to do moving forward. Jake nodded eagerly, feeling like the clouds had finally parted for sunlight to stream in. Maybe this was the beginning of a new chapter. Just as he began to look at her again, the rumble of commotion turned ominous as an unexpected figure approached. Jake, there you are? We need to discuss the upcoming board meeting. Feigning a smile, Clara stepped back. Looks like you have to take care of business. No, wait. He reached for her, panic flaring to life. What if this chance slipped away again? But the crowd surged, pulling them apart, leaving him breathless in the whirlwind of faces and voices. Disheartened, he glanced back at Clara, who was lost in the throng, an island of resolve in a sea of uncertainty. In that moment, the ground beneath him trembled with revelations. Could he truly rewrite his narrative? Would he have the courage to embrace the vulnerability Clara had shown him? The stakes felt higher than his fortunes ever could. As the evening dwindled and lights began to flicker out, Jake stood at the crossroads of regret and reinvention, heart pounding. What choices would he make when morning came? Morning brought a stillness that wrapped around Jake like a comforting blanket. The sun peeked through his window, illuminating the remnants of his restless night. He rolled over and groaned, wrestling with feelings of uncertainty and hope. Clara's smile cascaded through his mind, a beacon shining in the fog of his thoughts. Today would be different. He needed it to be. As he got dressed, he replayed their conversation, every word, every pause. It's not just about you, Clara had said. She was right. His self-reflection had shone a light on a truth he'd avoided for far too long. What mattered was the community he had overlooked, the people who dedicated their lives to nurturing one another. He poured himself a cup of coffee, seeking solace in its warmth. The familiar aroma floated through his home, but today it felt different, more bittersweet. Rather than indulging in the comfort of his usual routine, he felt a restless energy sparking within him, a call to action. With a newfound sense of urgency, Jake grabbed his phone and dialed Clara's number. Heart racing, he replayed the invitation he had in mind. He would ask her to meet him later, to guide him through the fabric of the community that had once felt like an abstract concept to him. Jake. Clara's voice was bright, but guarded. To what do I owe this early morning call? He hesitated, the smile slipping from his lips. I was hoping we could meet today. I want to learn more about everything. About the work you do. There was a moment of silence on the other end, and Jake could imagine her weighing his sincerity. Sure. I guess I could meet you this afternoon, she responded cautiously. Great. How about the community center? I'll bring lunch. Okay, I'll see you there, she said, still skeptical, but the warmth in her voice encouraged him. As he hung up, a wave of anxiety washed over him. What if she didn't believe he was genuine? What if he embarrassed himself trying to understand a world he had only ever brushed against? Jake knew he had to shift gears. With determination bubbling up, he gathered a few items from his office to bring with him. Supplies for the community center, educational materials, art kits, sports equipment. He remembered showing his childhood friends how to use a basketball and the joy in their shared laughter. That camaraderie was what he sought, what Clara embodied. The drive to the community center felt surreal. Each street he passed was a mosaic of memories that tugged at his heartstrings. Kids playing in parks, neighbors caring for one another, families coming together. He parked and took a deep breath, collecting himself before stepping into the unfamiliar warmth of the center. Upon entering, the hall buzzed with energy. Clara was there, setting up tables for an event. The sight of her made his heart flutter with excitement and trepidation. She turned and caught his eye, a flicker of surprise dancing over her features. "You actually came," she remarked, a hint of disbelief lining her voice. "I did," Jake replied, a smile breaking through his nerves. "And I brought some things. I thought I could help." As he revealed the supplies, Clara studied him closely. "You could have just made a donation." "I know," he admitted, feeling a rush of vulnerability. "But I want to be more involved. I want to understand the heartbeat of this community." Clara's expression softened, but a narrow line creased her brow again. "Okay, but involvement means work. Are you ready for that?" More than ever, Jake said, a fire igniting in his spirit that as they began organizing the supplies, laughter echoed around them. Kids ran past, their joy infectious. Jake felt an unfamiliar warmth unfurling in his chest, a connection, a community. Just then, a group of kids approached, eyes wide with curiosity. "Who's this, Clara?" She glanced at Jake, her lips curling in a playful smile. "Well, this is Jake. He's learning how to care for our community." Before he could respond, one daring child stepped forward. "Do you know how to play basketball?" Jake knelt down immediately, heart racing. "I do. Want to show me how?" As the children erupted into giggles, Clara stood back, silently watching the scene unfold. Each moment felt like a thread weaving him deeper into a tapestry he hadn't realized he was missing, but deep within, uncertainty remained. Would this moment be enough to bridge the gap he had created over the years? Would he really commit to this journey? No matter how difficult it might get, the answers felt tangled, yet the hope of transformation flickered brightly. Jake was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, but uncertainty still lingered. What if the greater challenge was still to come? Jake straightened up from the children, glancing back at Clara for encouragement. Her eyes sparkled, a mix of disbelief and pride swirling in the depths. It felt like a crossroads. He could feel the pull of something larger than himself weaving through the air. Okay. Clara clapped her hands to gather attention. "Who wants to play a game?" The kids jumped in unison, shouting with excitement. Jake felt a rush of joy, infecting everyone in the small gym. He quickly grabbed a basketball, dribbling it in a playful dance as he led the kids outside to the court. The sun beamed down, casting long shadows, but the warmth felt invigorating rather than oppressive. He could hear the laughter bouncing off the walls of the community center, each sound resonating like an echo of hope. There was a spirit here he hadn't felt in years that as they started playing. Jake made quick connections with each child, remembering how it felt to be a kid, unburdened and free, where every moment was filled with laughter and possibilities. He taught them how to dribble, to shoot, and even how to work as a team. With each success, they cheered, and Jake felt the weight of his past fall away, replaced by this new sense of belonging. Clara watched, leaning against the building, arms crossed, shaking her head slightly with a smile. She walked over when the game paused, her voice warm and steady. "You're a natural. The kids really like you." Jake laughed, a bit out of breath. "It's easy when they bring so much energy. I just hope I'm doing it right." "You are," she assured him, her eyes twinkling. "This is part of the community spirit we cherish. It's about connection, about giving something back." He nodded, absorbing her words, feeling their significance. But just as Jake was about to respond, a few children ran forward, one holding up a crumpled piece of paper. "Look, Jake, this is our community board. We have an event next week. Can you help us organize it?" The child held the paper out, anticipation shining in his eyes. Jake took the paper, his heart swelling with purpose. It was a flyer for a community barbecue, complete with games, food, and a talent show. The thought of contributing to something so meaningful excited him. Absolutely. I'd love to help plan it, he said, feeling a spark ignite deep inside. The children erupted into cheers, and Clara grinned at him, her skepticism melting further away. You're in deep now, she teased lightly. Good, Jake said, his smile steady. I want to be. As they resumed their game, time slipped by, filled with laughter, teamwork, and an overwhelming sense of unity. Jake felt lighter than he had in years, and it was as if the shadows of his past were finally being chased away. But just then, a phone vibrated in the pocket of his shorts, startling him. He pulled it out and saw a notification from his family. A message meeting from corporate executives back home flashed across the screen. He hesitated, staring at the message. For a moment, the world felt like it shifted beneath his feet. The tension of old responsibilities flooded back, a reminder of everything he had momentarily escaped. Clara noticed his change in demeanor, her brow furrowing. Everything okay? Jake hesitated, realizing this would be the moment to either return to his old life or to take a leap of faith into this new chapter. Could he balance both worlds? Could he anchor himself in this community he was swiftly growing to love, or would he retreat back to his old, safe routines? He took a deep breath, feeling the heat of the sun on his skin and the laughter of the children echoing in his heart. I'm not sure, he said, his voice wavering slightly, but I'm ready to figure it out. With that uncertainty in the air, they rejoined the game. But Jake felt the weight of his choice heavy on him. As the sun began to set, casting deep oranges and purples across the sky, he knew a crossroads awaited a decision that could change everything he thought he wanted. Would he embrace the community fully, or would he let the demands of his past pull him away? The stakes were rising, and Jake was about to uncover a truth about himself he had never anticipated. But first, he needed to face the call of home and decide what truly mattered. As the sun dipped lower, casting a glow over the court, Jake caught Clara's eye. She looked concerned but hopeful, as if sensing the internal struggle within him. The game resumed. Laughter and shouts filled the warm air. Yet, Jake's mind raced, grappling with the looming message on his phone. He tried to shake off the doubt, focusing on the children's energy. They were running around, light on their feet, filled with joy that came so easily to them. Jake remembered a time when he felt that same freedom, when responsibilities hadn't weighed him down. Jake, pass it, a child yelled, pulling him back to the moment. He aimed, threw the ball, and watched it soar and land perfectly in the child's hands. Cheers erupted. He felt alive, but in the back of his mind, that damn phone buzzed again, a persistent reminder of the life waiting for him. Would they want him back? Was there still a place for him after this taste of belonging? It felt surreal, this connection he had found in such a short span. After the game, the children flopped on the grass, panting and smiling. Clara joined them, her laughter infectious. For a moment, Jake felt like he could breathe freely, away from all the pressure he had left behind. But eventually, reality crept back in, feeling heavier than before. Hey, let us all pitch in for the barbecue, Jake suggested, trying to divert his attention. Everyone can bring something to share. They all chimed in, throwing out ideas, excitement reigniting as they planned. Jake's heart swelled, feeling the warmth of community wrap around him. It was in these moments that he felt truly significant, like maybe he could be more than the guy in the suit who ran meetings. They chatted. Clara sidled up next to him. You're really doing great today. It's like you found a piece of your heart in all this. He smiled, appreciating her support. I didn't realize how much I missed this. I love seeing them so happy. Her gaze softened. But you've got to decide what you want for yourself too. Her words hit him harder than any he'd faced thus far. The truth was, he wasn't just fighting for the kids' attention. He was fighting for his own joy, his own sense of purpose. Soon, as shadows crept across the court, Jake finally found a quiet moment at the edge, looking out at the horizon. He pulled out his phone, the screen glowing bright against the dusk. As he stared at the message, his heart raced. Did he really want to roll back into the corporate grind? Or did he want to dig deeper into this? His finger hovered over the screen, uncertainty gnawing at him. Suddenly, the crackling voice of one of the kids brought him back to reality. Jake, come see what we found. He pocketed his phone and approached, curiosity piqued. The children were huddled around a makeshift box, their faces lit up with excitement. "What is it?" he asked, bending to peer inside. "Treasure," the chubby one exclaimed, pulling out old toys, faded photographs, and letters, a trove of forgotten memories. Jake's heart sank a little. These things held stories, connections that in that instant. He understood the true treasure was right in front of him. These kids, this moment, this community. But just as he began to feel grounded, the feeling of urgency prickled at him again. Would they allow him to stay, or would he slip away when the call came? Looking at the treasure in front of him, he realized the decision was his to make. Could he truly embrace this, set his new scene, or was the comfort of familiarity too tempting to resist? The path ahead loomed uncertain, with Jake feeling the stirrings of hope alongside a flicker of fear. Could he dive in deep, trust the tug of the heart, or would he back away to safety? The children continued to rummage through the box, their laughter ringing like music, pulling him in. Each sound felt like a promise, a new beginning. As he took a step forward, ready to decide, he felt the seriousness of the moment settle in. What lay ahead was a leap of faith, and Jake was about to discover if he had the courage to take it. But in that moment, as he stood at the precipice of his choice, another message popped up on his phone. What could it mean? Jake stood there, the box brimming with forgotten treasures, and felt as if time had frozen around him. The children's voices faded into whispers as he stared at his phone. Another message, another tug of war within him. Was this the nudge he needed, or just another reminder of the life he thought he had left behind? Curiosity tinged with dread propelled him to unlock his phone. The screen illuminated his face in the fading light, a stark contrast to the warmth radiating from the kids. He took a deep breath, steadying himself for whatever awaited him. The message read, "Jake, need to talk. Important. Call me when you can." His pulse quickened. It was his old boss, the very person he'd fought so hard to escape just yesterday. What could possibly be so important now? Was it about the promotion he had turned down, or perhaps something worse, a desperate plea for him to return? "Hey, Jake, look." A bright voice cut through his thoughts. One of the kids held up a weathered baseball glove, the leather worn and cracked, but full of story. "Can we keep it?" Jake forced a smile, setting aside his phone for the moment. "Absolutely. That can be our treasure." As laughter erupted around him again, he felt a flicker of joy. These kids didn't care about his past, or what awaited him. For them, he was just Jake, the guy who played ball, and let them be themselves. A part of him wanted to cling to this feeling, to protect this bubble where he felt whole. But the weight of the phone in his pocket tugged at him, a nagging reminder that his life wasn't just about today. It was about tomorrow too. "Let us make a treasure map for our barbecue," Clara suggested, her eyes gleaming with an idea. "We can place clues and hide our treasures." Excitement bubbled again, and Jake's heart felt lighter. Before he could lose himself in doubt, he joined in on their plan. Together, they crafted a colorful map, drawing spirals and arrows, real and imagined, leading to different spots across the playground. The kids' giggles filled the air as they came up with ideas, their faces lit with the innocence of childhood. Yet amidst the joy, the phone buzzed again, an incessant reminder of the life he had known. He stayed focused on the map, knowing that joy blooms in small, shared moments, yet unable to shake the sense of impending change as the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. Jake knew he had to face what was waiting for him. With each laugh, each drawn line on the map, he felt the conflict growing deeper within him. What if the message brought news that upturned everything he'd begun to build here? What if he was just a fleeting figure in the children's lives when the real world came calling? "Jake, you coming?" Clara's voice pulled him back as she waved him to the group. They were ready to test the map. His heart swelled at the sight of those eager faces, full of trust and anticipation. His resolve solidified in that moment. The decision loomed over him like a storm cloud, but now he felt a spark of clarity amid the chaos. "I'll be there," he called back, pocketing his phone once more. The laughter continued, threading through his heart. And then, as if the universe wanted to remind him of the choices yet to come, another notification chimed. Jake's heart skipped. This time, it was a number he didn't recognize. Who could this be? He wondered, his breath catching in his throat. What did it mean? A rush of anxiety coursed through Jake. He hesitated for a brief moment, caught between the laughter of the kids and the uncertainty flashing on his phone screen. The new text danced in front of him, taunting him with its ambiguity. Jake felt a pull, as though some invisible thread tied him to the device. Could it be another plea from his past? Or perhaps it was a chance to step back into a world he had tried so hard to escape. Shaking his head as if to dispel the thoughts clouding his mind, he turned back toward the children. Their bright faces, animated with joy and enthusiasm, drew him back to the present. "Let us go," Clara beamed, waving the treasure map like a flag of victory. The kids excitedly bounded towards the designated spot on the playground. Jake forced himself to follow, to lean into this moment. The weight of the phone lessened slightly as he immersed himself into their joy. The little ones scattered, digging around, peeking under benches, and searching for imagined clues. In their innocence, they reminded him of what it felt like to be unburdened by past decisions. "Found it!" shouted one of the boys, holding up a rusty toy car from the past. It might have been long abandoned, but to them, it was just another treasure worth celebrating, another piece of history to claim. Jake paused again, watching them. Each laugh was like a gentle urge to let go of the past. But the buzzing in his pocket felt like a reminder he couldn't ignore. The tension tightened in his chest, wrestling with each fleeting moment of happiness. "Hey, Jake," Clara called out, breaking his reverie. "We're hiding the treasure at the old oak tree. You have to lead us there." "Of course." His voice was stronger than he felt. He smiled, willing himself to be present, pushing the nagging thoughts aside, if only for a while. They ran, little feet pounding against the ground, and he trailed behind, still disconnected, but trying. As they reached the tree, Clara turned and jumped up, hugging the thick trunk. "This is perfect. We can leave our treasures here forever." Joy radiated from the kids, pure and unfiltered. In that moment, as he joined them in placing their newly found treasures at the base of the tree, the storm inside him quieted briefly. But just as that spark of joy ignited warmth in his heart, the phone buzzed again. The urgency of the message loomed. "Okay," Jake whispered to himself, staring at the device he hadn't touched yet. But the laughter of the children broke through his thoughts, reminding him of their trust and the moment they were creating together. Suddenly, Clara tugged at his sleeve, her eyes wide with a sense of adventure. "Can you tell us a treasure story, Jake?" The request pulled at something deep within him. Stories had always been his passion, a way to connect and inspire. What would he say? What tale could he weave that would honor their innocence, yet resonate with the conflict brewing within him? He took a breath, clearing the noise from his mind. Uncertain but hopeful, he opened his mouth, ready to craft a story for them, one about a hero who faced a choice, standing at a crossroads much like he was. This was a moment of possibilities, a time to share what mattered most. Even if he wasn't sure of his own path, just as his voice flowed, and the children listened entranced, Jake briefly forgot about the buzzing phone and the weight of his decisions. For the first time in a long while, he felt the power of connection begin to take shape, but then another vibration rang through the air, stronger this time. It felt like a thunderclap in his pocket, demanding attention. Jake paused mid-story, a spark of fear mixing with curiosity. What was waiting on the other end of that message? Would it change everything? He looked down, heart racing once more, as the moment hung heavy with uncertainty. Jake's heart thudded in his chest as he glanced at the screen, torn between the laughter of the children and the weight pressing down on him from the reality he'd been trying to escape. The text was just 3 words, but they felt like a tidal wave crashing over him. "We need to talk." He swallowed hard, the children's giggles washing over him like a balm, yet they also felt distant. He caught Clara's eyes, filled with sparkling expectation, and felt a warmth flood back into him. Maybe this was a chance to dive deeper into their world. "Once upon a time," Jake began, shifting his focus back to the kids and laying the phone face down in the grass. "There was a brave pirate who sailed the seas searching for treasure." The children leaned in closer, hanging on his words like it was their lifeline. Their rapt attention pushed the lingering anxiety to the edges of his mind. The pirate, named Captain Finn, was not just after jewels or gold, he continued, his voice gaining strength with every word. He wanted something different, something lost to time. He searched their eager faces, feeling the story take off. "What did he want?" A girl piped up, her eyes wide with intrigue. "Ah," He sought the greatest treasure of all, friendship. Jake punctuated the last word with a flourish, and the kids erupted into delighted giggles, the joys of childhood surging forth like bubbles in a fizzy drink. He spun the tale of Captain Finn encountering stormy seas and meeting his loyal crew. Jake felt a pang of nostalgia. He remembered the friendships he had cherished and lost, and with that memory came a hint of sadness. He glanced at his phone again, feeling that tug in his chest. There it lay, stark and unyielding. If he ignored it, would it just keep buzzing, growing more insistent? Or would he miss something vital, a call back to a part of his life he didn't want to revisit? Hey, Jake. Clara interrupted his thoughts, her voice full of enthusiasm. What happened next? Did Captain Finn find his treasure? Jake smiled at her eagerness. You see, as he searched for treasure across the waves, he learned that the real treasure was his friendships and the adventures they shared. Wow! All the kids shouted, their voices a collective chorus of excitement. It was infectious. Jake could almost feel their untainted joy ignite something inside him. They cheered and clapped, awaiting the next thrilling chapter. And for those moments, time felt suspended. He spoke of trust, loyalty, and how the best adventures always included friends. Stories were powerful. They were healing. But that incessant buzzing broke through again, this time almost raging against his resolve. What if it was something urgent? Something painful? The tension in his heart tightened. In an instant, he dropped down to Clara's level, embracing her eager gaze. What do you think is more valuable? He asked, the question lingering in the air, treasure, or the friends who help you look for it? She pondered, her brow furrowing. Both. I mean, sometimes you need friends to help you find things. But can you keep treasure without friends? The innocent insight left Jake momentarily speechless. A simple truth rooted in a child's perspective. How often had he overlooked his own treasures? Before he could respond, a sudden shout pierced the moment. Jake, your phone. Jake's breath caught in his throat as he turned. Someone had picked it up, eyes wide with shock. You need to see this. Panic surged through him. What had he been avoiding? What news was waiting for him? The children's cheers faded, leaving an echo of a moment that could shift everything. With eyes locked on the child holding his phone, Jake felt the gravity of the decision fall heavy upon him. What awaited him on that screen could unravel everything he had built here. Would he dare to look? Jake's heart raced as he moved toward the child holding his phone. Every leg of his journey across the grass felt like a countdown to something monumental. The laughter of the kids faded into background noise, making way for the jitters and questions swirling in his mind. What could possibly be that shocking? Was it news of loss or something even harder to confront? Taking a breath, he reached out and took the phone. The screen lit up, illuminating the child's face, which was stuck somewhere between excitement and concern. Jake unlocked it, and his eyes went straight to the flashing notification on the screen, a message from Sarah. Please, he whispered, feeling a strange mix of dread and anticipation. With a shuddering exhale, he opened the message and began to read. His eyes widened as the words sank in. Jake, I know we haven't talked in a while, but something happened that I think you need to know. It's about your father. The world around him tilted. Everything he was building, these moments with the kids, the joyful stories, it all felt so fragile now. His father, a shadowy figure in Jake's life, had never reached out like this, not since everything fell apart. To have Sarah, in her own way, reintroduce him to that part of his life felt like a double-edged sword. What kind of message could this possibly hold? The child's voice broke through his thoughts. Jake, are you okay? He snapped his head up. Clara's gaze was calm, but it held worry, too. Yeah, I just need a moment. Instinctively, he turned the phone face down, trying to shield himself from the weight of the unknown. But the buzzing in his chest wouldn't let up. Hey kids, how about we switch gears for a moment? Let us talk about the ocean, where all Captain Finn's adventures took place, Jake said, his voice trying to regain a light-hearted tone. The children responded eagerly, their innocence and energy pulling him back from the brink. Yet, as they enthusiastically started sharing their own stories about the beach and ocean creatures, Jake's mind was elsewhere. His father, the wall he'd built around those memories, the hurt. Could it really be time to face those feelings? Or would reading the message pull him deeper into a place he wasn't ready to go? Can we tell sea monster stories? Clara suggested, breaking through his reverie. Jake managed to smile, grateful for her shining enthusiasm. Absolutely. Who can come up with the scariest sea monster? However, beneath the laughter, he felt something shifting inside him, like the dark waters of the ocean gearing for a storm. Lost in the kid's enthusiasm, he had a fleeting thought of Captain Finn, who had learned that even to find treasure, sometimes one must face the storms head-on. Maybe this time, he could figure out how to balance both parts of his life. But as Clara animatedly spun her tale of a giant octopus guarding a treasure chest, Jake's eyes flickered back to his phone. The message still hovered there, waiting. Would he have the courage to read it? Would it push him back towards the past he desperately tried to escape? Or could it offer a chance at healing, perhaps even finding treasure in unexpected places? Jake, Clara called again, pulling him back to the present. What do you think? He took a deep breath, knowing the answer was waiting just a click away. The adventure before him, like Captain Finn's, was about to unravel. Would he face it, or turn away yet again? And with one last glance at the screen, the storm inside him quieted for now. The children's laughter still rang in his ears, and they giggled over their monster stories, the boat afloat, but a wave was building. Next time, he thought, a decision waiting to be made, I'll decide what to do. In the days that followed, Jake found himself standing at the intersection of old roads and new paths. After that fateful day at the community center, the weight of his father's message loomed over him like a storm cloud. But there were brighter skies ahead, filled with laughter and the embracing warmth of whatever transformation awaited him. Clara and her community had become a lifeline he never knew he needed. With each visit, Jake immersed himself deeper into the rhythm of community life. He joined Clara in organizing events, volunteering at the local food pantry, and even chaperoning outings for the kids. Every moment he spent with Clara and the children nudged him away from the sterile world of corporate success he had once clung to like a life raft. It was exhilarating. Sudden bursts of joy, raucous laughter, and caring connections replaced the monotony of boardrooms and balance sheets. Hey Jake, can you help me with this? A voice called as he navigated through the bustling community center one sunny afternoon. It was a little girl, holding an oversized, colorful poster that flopped in her hands. Absolutely. What is it for? He asked, crouching down to her level. It's for our Community Appreciation Day. We want to show how much we love our neighbors, she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with that pure, unfiltered enthusiasm only children possess. Jake smiled, realizing how far he had come. There was a time he would disregarded such trivial events. Now, he reveled in crafting messages like "Together we're stronger" and "Community is family." Helping with this project connected him deeply to something he had been missing: purpose, a feeling of belonging. When Clara arrived, their playful banter flowed naturally, as easy as breathing. There was a wonderful shift in their dynamic. The heaviness that once accompanied Jake's presence had lifted, replaced by lightness and mutual respect. He was grateful for her quiet strength. She continued to inspire him, and he felt blessed to be in her orbit. Let us write something about hope, Clara suggested, her brow slightly furrowed in thought. Hope. I love it. Hope is what brought me here, Jake said, feeling the sentiment resonate deep within him. Days turned into weeks, and soon enough the day of the Community Appreciation Celebration arrived. The center buzzed with excitement, vibrant colors of banners dancing in the breeze, joy echoing off every wall. Families gathered, laughter spilled over, and there was Clara, a radiant force amidst it all. Jake, she called, gesturing to a table filled with community photos. Want to help with the memory wall? Happily, he joined her. As they worked together, an unspoken bond hung in the air, warm and sweet. Handing her a photoshopped collage of kids at last year's barbecue, he said, look at the smiles. This community needs to know how far they've come. They've come so far because of you, too, Clara responded, smiling brightly. You've made a real difference. As they stood back to admire their handiwork, a sense of contentment washed over Jake. Here, in this moment, he felt more alive than ever. The heavy burden of his old life faded away, replaced by the laughter and connection that filled the air. Suddenly, a familiar face approached him through the crowd. It was Sarah, holding her phone, a hesitant smile tugging at her lips. Jake, can we talk? I'm really sorry for bringing up your dad, but I thought. But before she could finish, an overwhelming tide of emotion gripped him. He took a deep breath, recalling the choice he had been avoiding. Somewhere amidst Clara's love and the children's laughter, he had found the courage to embrace who he was becoming, a man who wasn't merely defined by success, but by connection, empathy, and community. "Sarah, it's good to see you," he replied softly, igniting the warmth of their friendship amidst the celebration around them. "I've been meaning to talk as well. Maybe we can grab a cup of coffee later?" The words felt right, the pressure of the past beginning to lift. The gentle connection shimmered like sunlight. Breaking through clouds, the AS music began to play and children rushed by. He felt Clara's presence alongside him, grounding him in the moment. Jake had a choice. He could step into the light with Clara by his side, cherishing the relationship he had forged, or retreat into a darkness filled with unanswered questions. He grasped the possibility of both bridges and new beginnings. Positioning everyone around for the official opening of the memory wall, Jake invited Clara to stand beside him. He focused on the crowd, channeling the true purpose of the day, the community he had come to cherish. "Here's to all of you," he called, his voice ringing clear. "You've shown me what it means to care, to love, and to thrive together." Cheers erupted, and Clara beamed at him. This was where he belonged, in that transformative moment. The strings attached to the old Jake began to fray and detach. This was a new start based on strength, compassion, and the belief that hope keeps us moving forward. The storm inside him calmed, and he stepped into the embrace of his new life, filled with intention and a profound sense of belonging. Jake smiled. "Let us keep building something great, together." He turned back to the bustling crowd, eyes shining. The choices ahead were many, but more importantly, he was ready. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss a single moment of these incredible stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let others find this inspiration. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this ending. And you need to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second, to spread this positive message.